Hi, my name is James Shepard, and today I want to talk to you about how to make $400 an hour selling merchant services. Now, I realize that title sounds a little bit grandiose, and arguably it could be for many of you, but I want to talk to you about my experience in sales today because I really have been challenged by this the last few days and weeks talking to salespeople who are not achieving their potential. They're not making the money that they should make, and it's sad because they're really good at sales. Like many of you, there are several days in my life or moments that I can point to when I realized I was really good at sales. My first one was actually my very first job in high school. I worked at a pet store called the Ark Pet Store, and our big ticket item that we sold there were these saltwater aquariums where you have, a reef and coral and beautiful colored fish and all that. And you'll never forget a day when, I'd gotten pretty good at it. I was reading a lot of books about it. I was really into it. And a potential customer came in. They were looking at, getting a starter tank, just something inexpensive to try it out. But I could just kind of tell they really wanted something nicer, and I could tell they were qualified to spend a little bit more money. About an hour later, they walked out of the store having spent a couple $1,000s on, fish and aquariums and filters and fish food and all that stuff. And I went home that night and I really remember that just stuck with me. And I think about sales lessons that I learned that day when I realized, wow, I think I could do this. I can talk people into stuff. I can help people make buying decisions that are good for them. And, a couple lessons that really stuck with me. I remember thinking about how, I was honest about, what we had to offer. I was honest about the shortcomings, and that made them trust me. I realized that, all the work I'd put in to really learn about aquariums and learn all these things, that really helped me because that, again, that gave me the trust of the prospect. I remember realizing that, wow, for some people, $2,000 is a lot of money. For other people, $2,000 is nothing. It's pocket change to them. And so it just really gave me these kind of core lessons. So that helped me to realize, the potential of sales. So then I moved over to my next job. My next job was selling lawn care services. And, been there for a little while, kind of learning the ropes. At that point, I was really into sales. I was reading sales books constantly, every sales book I could find. I was talking to my coworkers who were more talented and had been there longer than I had and getting tips. And after a period of months, I'll never forget the day when I realized that I really knew how to sell. My manager came out, my sales manager. He had an office, one of those offices with the glass windows where in the door we can kind of see into it. And he walked up to my desk. I was on the phone calling, and he's like, James, I'm going to have some 2 or 3 of these new hires that these new salespeople. I don't remember how many, but he's like, I'm going to have them in my office, and I'm going to monitor your next phone call and put it on speaker so they can all hear you sell. And he's like, so, just do your best and try to really sell this next person so they can kind of hear objections and rebuttals and stuff. So the next guy who picked up the phone, it's funny because I can still actually hear his voice a little bit in my head. It stuck with me so much. But older gentleman, and he had no interest in lawn care, none whatsoever. And I remember in my mind thinking, all these people are listening to me. I've got to deploy all of my sales ability on this call. And I mean, this guy almost hung up on me 10 times. It was a constant, back and forth. Those of you that are really good at sales, you know what I'm talking about. You get into that conversation where you realize, I can get this person. After about 15 minutes of that, I realized that this poor guy, he really had no need for our services at all anyway. And I was really just keeping him on the hook as entertainment for these new salespeople. And so I let him off the hook, hung up the phone after, hey, thanks for your time and all that. And I'll never forget my sales manager walking up to me, looked at me and said, walked out with this big smile on his face. He's like, James, that was awesome. That may be the best sales call I've ever heard. Don't ever do that again. And the idea was, you don't, somebody who doesn't have a need for the service, let's not push them quite that hard for quite that long. I was just doing that for the benefit of the new salespeople. But something clicked in my mind where I realized, wow, like my sales skill has gotten to a point where I can literally talk someone into something that they don't need and don't want. That's dangerous. I need to make sure I don't ever do that. But, I want to sleep at night. But at the same time, I realized, wow, I'm really, really good at this. So that was kind of the frame of mind I had when I came to the merchant services industry. I'm amazing. I can sell anybody anything. This is awesome. And so after a few weeks, I had to look at my merchant sales numbers and go, what's going on? I made a couple $1,000s. I thought I should have made 10 or 15,000. I was like, what's the deal here? I'm just not making the money that I thought I should have made. And that day and what I really learned that day was equally as important as what I learned the other 2 days about my sales skill. I realized that the reason I was so successful in these other jobs is that, yes, I had sales skill, but these other jobs had given me the structure and the accountability and the, monitoring to make sure I was applying those sales skills on a regular basis. And I realized that no matter how good your sales skill is, it's like, what is sales skill? People say, oh, I'm really good at sales. What does that mean? What it means is you're really, really good at talking people into things, right? And helping them make a good buying decision. That's what that means. Well, I realized that no matter how good I was at that, there's no way I was going to make any money unless I applied that talent by talking to prospects that are qualified. And when I actually looked back in the last few weeks and looked at my database, I realized that I had only spent a total of 5 hours actually talking to qualified prospects. Only 5 hours. And you think about it, a lot of times you might walk into 15 businesses before you have a qualified prospect. So you might burn an hour and a half, or an hour, and then you have a conversation for 5 minutes, Then you follow up and you have a conversation for 10 minutes. And, I was like, blown away. Whoa. So I was actually making $400 an hour. The problem is I wasn't putting very many hours into talking to qualified prospects. So what you have to do is you have to track that. And so I started to track that and improve. And the amazing thing that happened to me was not only did I start to dramatically improve the number of hours I was able to spend talking to prospects. By the way, still a very low number. You'd really be shocked, honestly. You'd be shocked. I mean, to in a month, if you can spend in a whole month, if you can spend 10 or 15 hours talking to qualified prospects, that's really good. You'd be shocked if you actually tracked your time. But not only did I increase that, but my hourly rate actually went up as I got better and better at selling merchant services. And the last month that I tracked it, I made $1,000 an hour, a little over $1,000 an hour if I added up all the minutes that I spent talking to qualified prospects. So here's my challenge to you today. Number one, track how many minutes you spend every day, every week, every month talking to qualified prospects. How many minutes are you spending on that? Then look at your total income and recognize that if you divide your total income by those total hours, that's your hourly rate. What you have to do is figure out a way. And that's, by the way, that's why I hired an assistant. That's why I had somebody that went and did my terminal installations for me. That's why I hired somebody to call and schedule more appointments for me. Why? Because I realized that every minute that I spent doing anything other than talking to a qualified prospect, those minutes were not making me really any money. There's things I have to do for sure, but the one thing that I knew that I could do better than almost anybody else is I could go sell merchants. Many of you are the same way that I was. You're amazing at sales. You know how to sell. You're a super salesperson. Okay, why aren't you making any money? The reason is pretty simple. You're not talking to anybody. Your sales skill is only valuable when you're talking to qualified prospects. My name is James Shepard. Thanks for watching.